From an engineer to an entrepreneur, and from an entrepreneur to an internationally published author, the journey has been amazing and truly defines the term dream come true. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I feel honored and privileged to introduce you all with the resource person of today's podcast of the series Rubaru. Well, that's none other than Mr. Mubarak Sandhu. He completed his graduation in mechanical engineering in the year 2012. Also, he worked part time as IELTS trainer and soft skill development trainer. He founded Mubarak Record, a music record label, in 2015. He co-founded an event management company named the Managers Network in 2016. Meanwhile, he continued working as a freelance content writer along with fulfilling the entrepreneurial responsibilities. He had written and published a fictional novel worldwide with the name Boris, The Last Kahana Life. Recently, it was translated in Punjabi language and was published as a Punjabi novel in February 2022 and has got huge positive response from the public. Truly, this is what well-deserved success call. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of whole RR Baba family. It's great to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you for inviting. Thank you.
Sir, since you're inspiring youth to become entrepreneur and to offer startups, may I know who was your inspiration and why?
My inspiration has always been my father. I have seen him rising up early in the morning, working for the whole day till late night. And also, my mother, she has been a housewife, but I believe being a housewife is the most difficult profession. So I have seen my family working really hard. So, yes, my inspiration has been my family, my mother, and father, of course.
Truly inspiring, sir. Since you did engineering and then you became entrepreneur and then a very successful author. So the audience want to know how are you able to make that shift? I mean, how are you able to balance each one of them?
Most of the times it is very difficult to decide what to do next. And whenever I shifted from one profession to the other, it was not just out of my choice or out of my interest. It was the need of the hour. So I have been a very studious guy since childhood. I was there in the toppers always in the school. So I wanted to do engineering. So yes, I did engineering. So after completing my engineering, I worked as a mechanical engineer for around 2.5 years. So during those years, I felt that I am made for this 9 to 6 monotonous job. And that was the time when I started looking out for what kind of work can I start of my own. So then an opportunity knocked my door. I started my own music record label in the year 2015. And once it was established enough in the following year, 2016, I started my own event management company. So that was the time when I shifted from engineer to an entrepreneur. But then in 2020, uh, COVID lockdown came up and all our work was down. Especially ours was a crowd-based work, so there was no chance of recovering it again in any time soon enough. So then, in the year 2015, I also started writing a novel. So lockdown gave me a sufficient break in time to complete that novel, to reconnect with my novel again, complete it, and so yes, I did it and I finished it and published it in the year 2021 last year. So yes, that was the time when I shifted from entrepreneur to writer. So it was not always out of choice that I stopped doing one thing and shifted to the other profession, to the other phase of my life. So it was because of the need at that particular moment. And with God's grace, I was able to do it successfully.
The true meaning of success is not in how many times you failed because of your hindrances, but rather how you became successful regardless of your hindrances. Here, I want to ask you the very mandatory question of the day. Well, that is, what were the challenges you faced to achieve your goal and how did you overcome them?
I believe my biggest challenge has been lack of guidance in the particular field. So what happens is whenever we complete a particular course, we get placed somewhere, we start working in a company. The company trains us according to their work. That is relatively easy. But when we want to start something of our own, until and unless we have someone to guide us in every part of that work that we are starting, it is very difficult for us. So in my family, we do not have many people who do business. So most of my relatives, my family members, everyone is engaged in jobs, either private or government sector. So my biggest challenge was lack of guidance, but with God's grace, my friends, relatives, my family members, everyone has been really supportive. They have always backed me up, and not just with moral support, but with financial support as well. So I was blessed. I'm truly blessed that I had people who used their resources to guide me whenever I faced some sort of hindrance in my work. So my biggest challenge was lack of guidance, lack of particular guidance according to my work. And how I overcame it, it was my family members, my friends, my relatives, and with the help of internet resources, I used to find out the best alternative, best solution, and I moved on.
Since you told you took initiative in your family to become an entrepreneur, so were you not afraid of the failures?
I have always been a very confident person. I have always taken calculated risks. I have been into sports since childhood, basketball and swimming. So the extracurricular activities also help us to find out what's there inside us. So that confidence that is within me, and obviously, and we always I'm always in my senses. I do not get excited and do something insensibly. So I always took calculated risks, and I was able to be successful just because I took calculated risks. I did not get excited that I'm going to do something new, and I did not just go ahead with it without doing any kind of research. So I worked well before starting it, and even after starting, I was never excited. Whenever I was there on television, whenever I was there on a channel, or even if I'm invited in a big event or something, I'm always in my senses. I'm always very calm, and I'm always very stable. That's what helps me to keep moving forward without any kind of mistake. Obviously, we commit mistakes in lives, but then whenever I commit mistake, I totally agree to it that yes, it was my mistake. I confess to it. That is the only way, how we can rectify that specific error. So I rectify it. I overcome my mistakes. I overcome the things that are not done by me, particularly how they should have been done, and then I move ahead in a very positive way. So that is the reason never felt really afraid to do something new. I was always confident. I always did enough research. So yes, that's that's it, I believe.
Being a BCom student, I know profit is the reward of risk, and so does happen with you. Well, sir, as I already mentioned, you published a book named Boris, The Last Kahan Alive. Its name seems quite interesting. So kindly tell us, what is this book all about and which section of the society does it target?
The book can cater to all the parts of society. It has there are people which are selfish, who are selfish. There are people who are very helpful and caring. So it consists of love, it consists of animosity, jealousy, it consists of caring, it consists of family ties, it also consists of war, which is not a very positive thing that prevails in society, but yes, it consists of war as well. So my novel consists of every part of society. You will find all sorts of emotions which prevail in our society. And what was the other question that I think you asked? Oh, what is it all about? Yeah, right. Yes. So the novel talks about the main character Boris. The Boris is the last descendant of bloodline, the bloodline of Khans. And it is a fiction novel. You won't find these words anywhere. Initially, when the novel was launched, I was asked by a few that I was not able to find the word Khan in the dictionary. What's the word Khan? So, because it is a fiction novel, these are all the characters which have been created, crafted by me, which have been made out by me, and they do not have any relevance with reality. Those specific characters. So yes, this guy Boris, he's not aware that he's the last descendant of the legendary bloodline of Khans. With time, he finds it out, and with time, he finds out how his grandparents died, how his parents died, and how important it is for him to understand the responsibility to save the people around him. So that's how the story revolves. And then there are people who come in his life. Some people do not help him. Some people obviously try to put him down. And then there are some people, totally strangers, who come forward and help him out in the very critical situations that he faces. So yes, the novel caters to all parts of society, and perhaps that's the reason everyone relates to it very well. That's the reason it got good enough response that it was translated in Punjabi again, and it was published worldwide in Punjabi language.
but rather inspiring too. Well, I would definitely read it out. So, my next question is, sir, well, audience want to know, when did you think of publishing a book? Was it your childhood dream or some incident happened which motivated you to write?
Yes, I'll speak about two incidents over here. One, the one that motivated me to write, and the other one, how I started my own novel. So I told you about the year 2004 or 2005. So as a very young, curious teenager, on television, I was seeing that a writer was being interviewed on a channel. So just like we ask our parents as a very young child, I asked my father how to become a writer, because we generally talk about in classes also, being children. Teachers tell us, if someone asks, "What's your aim?" You should say, "I should become a doctor. I should become an engineer. I should become an astronaut." I never heard someone say, "I want to become a writer." So I was really curious about it. That generated the curiosity inside me, within me. So I asked my father how to become a writer, and he very casually he said, "Writing is not something that can be learned from someone. If you are a writer, you will come to know yourself. So the strength to write is innate. It is within you. You can't learn how to write." But that generated a curiosity inside me. I started writing. I tried new things. I started writing poems in Punjabi as well, in English as well. So that's how I started. Then, when we were in ninth class, an activity was done in the classroom. Our English teacher told us in the class to write a paragraph, a few lines, in the form of a poem as a homework. So we had to write a poem that could have been 4 lines, 6 lines, 8 lines, whatever, but we just had to try and write a poem. It was an activity. It was a very creative activity. So the next day when I went to class, and teacher asked everyone, "So you have written the poem?" Someone said, "Yes, ma'am, 4 lines." Someone said, "Yes, ma'am, 6 lines." Ma'am said, "Mubarak, how many lines have you written?" I said, "Ma'am, 2 pages." So I wrote a very long poem on a specific topic, and she again everyone started laughing. Ma'am said, "You didn't hide, you were not told to write one word in one line." I said, "No, ma'am, I have not written one word in one line. So I have written a proper poem of 2 lines, of 2 pages." So that was the time when I started writing, and I knew that yes, I can write, and I never stopped writing. Even though my work was not being published, it was not even being showcased, it was not being shown to anyone around me, but it was within me. I started writing. And in the year 2015, a very good friend of mine, Jasdeep, he lives in New Zealand. So I told him that I have been given a project as a freelance content writer. I do work sometimes. So I said, there is a possibility that I can take up a project of working on someone's novel. And he immediately said, why do you want to work on someone's novel? Why can't you write something of your own? So we both can start something, and we can discuss a few things, and we can write something of our own. Why do you want to write on someone else's work? I said, okay. So that was, again, it generated curiosity. We discussed about the same novel. We discussed a few characters, how we could start. We started together, but obviously we have a lot of flexibility here because we live in with our families. We don't have all the household chores that we have to do on our own. He was not able to continue because he was working himself. He had to take care of his household things as well, household stuff as well. He was not able to continue. It was just God's blessing that I was able to continue with the novel, and I kept on writing for around 5 years, and yes, I was able to publish it. So the two major incidents that I believe are really important in my life. The first one is how I asked about being a writer to my family. It generated curiosity within me. And then my friend Jasdeep motivated me to do something of our own, to write my own novel. instead of helping someone else with their.
Sir, in short, your family and friends helped you a lot, motivated you a lot. My next question is, since you started your novel writing somewhere in 2015 and you ended it up in lockdown, so do you think lockdown played a vital role in achieving your goal?
Yes, see, obviously, we do not want such a pandemic to come over again. It was a very disastrous pandemic. It was really, really difficult to cope up with the tough times. But I believe it was a much needed break as well. We are always engaged in some sort of work in our lives. As students, we are always, we always have that burden of a very heavy bag on our shoulders. We go to schools, we study, we come back, we think about going to tuitions, and then if we are engaged in extracurricular activities like sports or something, then we have to take out at least 2 to 3 hours for sports as well, for those activities as well. There is no break in our lives. If we are studying hard, they wake up early in the morning and then they do not have enough time even to sit and relax till midnight, till late night. So it is very difficult to cope up with such such a difficult routine. So I believe COVID gave us at least, it made us realize that we need a break in our lives, and we do not give break to ourselves. We do not give time to our own self. So that was a much needed break in my life as well. And yes, it helped me analyze myself further. And that's how I did not give up, although it was a huge, hindrance. It was a big drop, setback in my life, in my career, because both I had to shut down both my companies. Uh, and obviously we nurture our companies, our ventures, just like our kids. We work really hard to bring them up. You complete all the paperwork, you get all the registrations done, you create that logo, you hire people, you go out in the market, you compete with other people, and then you get rid of your competition, you rise further, and then suddenly there's a full stop. So it is a very, very difficult thing to cope up with the support of my family and my friends. Yes, I remained positive, and COVID gave me enough break to complete that novel. Although I can recover, I can start my venture once again, whatever I was working with. But now I am totally engaged with my writing and nothing else. So yes, it gave me a very, very special break of my life. It came up as a blessing to me, at least.
This is truly the optimum utilization of time. Well, I learned cooking during that pandemic. So, my mother, she is quite happy with me now. Well, sir,
Most of the people learned a lot of cooking at home because there was
me too.
nothing else to do, and at the time of curfew, we couldn't even order things from outside.
Yeah,
And at
yes,
that time,
yes.
yes, it was the need of the hour. People didn't learn out of their out of their interest, but because they were free at home and there was not much to see on the internet as well.
But now I
So
believe I
yes,
became a continental chef just because I learned from
that's a good
YouTube
thing.
and so on.
Yeah.
Let's proceed to the next question. It's in this era of social networking sites like Instagram, Telegram, and many more. People have lost interest in reading books. You being an author, what do you think? Is it boon or bane for the society?
Uh, I am really positive about it, especially after writing my book. Now I meet people who are related to reading, who are related to writing. That's what their interests are, and I think people have not lost their interest in reading. They have lost their interest in reading to some extent. The new, very new younger generation who is given mobile phones or these gadgets since childhood, though that particular generation has lesser interest in reading. That's what I have found out with time. And otherwise, there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people who still read. The only difference is because they do not buy books, they tend to read the ebooks with the help of Kindle or everything. So the younger generation, I always suggest them, I request them, they should read, and they should read the physical paperback books. Any serious reader around you that you will meet in your life, they will not read ebooks. Any serious reader who has a habit of reading books, They love to feel the fragrance of the paper. They love to hold the book in front of them. They love to read the book as it is. They don't even want to shift from a paperback to an ebook. So there are still a lot of people who buy a lot of books and they read a lot of books. Yeah, I'm not a very regular reader. I have hardly read a few novels till date, but you'll still find some novels around me always. If I'm carrying a bag to some place, even in my laptop bag, there are always books. There are 2 to 3 books always. If I get time, I read them. Even if I don't read them, at least I always know that whenever I'll have time, I have something to read. So books are the best companions that anyone can have. And the very new younger generation has lesser interest than other people, but still there are a lot of children. I'll share an incident with you. There's this Cup and Kitab cafe in Mohali. They promote reading. They don't really allow work from home in their cafe. They don't allow laptops to be used in their cafe for longer durations. And they have a lot of books kept in
Yeah,
their cafe. So that's what they're. So, yes. Have you been there?
I have been there, and I have even seen it in your Instagram
Okay.
profile. You being promoting them.
Yeah, perfect. So this particular cafe, I was sitting there with the owner of the cafe. My book has been kept there by them as well. It's really nice of them. So a mother brought her daughter to that cafe just to allow her to read some books of her own choice. And once they were done, they after around 1.5 hours, when they were returning home, the mother came to the owner, and she really appreciated the way the books were kept there, the books were managed there, and that kid, I believe she was hardly 5 or 6 years old. She had already written one page in appreciating the efforts being done by Cup and Kitab Cafe owner, and she gave that testimonial without even telling him. And the mother said, I always take her out to libraries or such cafes where she could spend time reading books. So that is also another way of motivating your kids to read books. There are parents who take their children for sports activities, but then there are parents who take their children specifically to read books as well, to libraries, because it is not possible for every parent to keep buying books. The books are expensive as well. So if a parent cannot afford, that was the time when I realized there are so many possibilities, so many ways to motivate your kids to read books. And she said, I particularly don't want her to stick to a gadget to read a book. She said it is easy for us to download a book on the mobile and give her to read it. But she said, I don't want that to happen. I want her to have that habit of reading a paperback book. And the kid was, and see the difference between today's generation and our generation. I told you in the school, I never heard someone saying, I want to become a writer. And that 5 or 6 year old girl, she said, Sir, I want to become a writer in future. That's why I love reading books. And then just to motivate her further, the owner, he said, he told her, he said, we already have an author sitting over here. He just to motivate her, he gave my book to her. He got a photograph clicked together. So yes, we really believe that the interest towards reading has reduced with time. But personally, I believe there are, both. It has come up as a boon and a bane both, because there are still people who are really interested in reading, and those who are not interested in reading, technology has in a way diverted their minds. If this mobile wouldn't have been there, what would have people done? That is the moment, you start watching Instagram reels, and you'll find out that 1 hour is gone. You'll find out 2 hours, they are gone. We don't even realize for how long we have watched these reels or the videos on the internet. So just imagine 1 week without the internet, without mobile phone, and you should think what you would do. Just like people learned cooking during the lockdown. So that was because they had a break from their work. So I believe people should read. People should read. There are a lot of readers out there in the world, but those who do not read, they should build the interest of reading. It is very helpful.
Yes, sir. I think that mother, she had inculcated a very good habit of reading in her daughter. Well, sir, as you
Yes.
told, that certain section of the society, like certain people, they have shifted to ebooks. So does it has any impact on the sale of your book?
Yes, it has an impact on the sale of books, of course. But then even ebooks are not for free. If a person is reading an ebook, the ebook is also being purchased by them. If my book, we talk about my book, it was available at 180 rupees as a paperback edition, and as an ebook, it was made available at rupees 69. So this is the prices are decided by the company, and I believe it is also a part of sale and purchase only. People buy ebooks and they read it online, so it doesn't really affect the sale otherwise.
So the best thing about you is you're adapting to the changing environment. Like you saw that the people are shifting to ebooks and you published your book, and that's the best part about you. Well, let's move to the another
Yes.
question. Only 7 in 100 enterprises in India are run by women. I repeat, only 7 in 100 enterprises in India are run by women as per November 2020 report. So what do you think could be the reasons behind Indian women being negligible as far as entrepreneurship is concerned?
Uh, I have met a lot of women entrepreneurs, and I get motivated from them. So this particular data, I am not sure what all was considered while taking this data, but I have many women entrepreneurs around me, and they are doing really well. And I must say the discipline that they follow is far better than perhaps I followed in my work. So I really admire women entrepreneurs. They are doing really well in the industry right now, in the world right now. If we talk about our Indian community, or if our Punjab, or if we look around us, uh, I can't be sure why it has not been promoted till date. Or probably if we talk about traditional ways of doing work, most of the times we see men doing work and women being housewives, or women handling home. And as I told you, being a housewife is even more difficult than working outside. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it at my home. So maybe that would have been the reason, as a part of traditional ways of running the household. Women running a house, women being housewives, and men being the bread earners. But nowadays, there are a lot of girls who go out in the world. They are not at all afraid of what can be the consequences of their work. It can be a failure, it can be a success, but it is a part of a hard efforts of our lives. So, but yes, I'm really motivated by women entrepreneurs, and there are a lot around me. I know a lot of them, and they are doing really well. They are role models for me.
Well, sir, someone has rightly said, if you want something said, give it to a man. But if you want something done, give it to a woman. Let's proceed to the next question. Since you're an author and at the same time you're working in entertainment industry, so what differences you have observed in both?
Uh, there are a lot of differences. So in the entertainment industry, a lot of people are engaged. A lot of people are engaged in. Even if we talk about one particular music video, we see a music video for 3 or 4 minutes. It is of 3 or 4 minutes in the on YouTube, on television. You watch it, but for that particular video of 3 or 4 minutes, there are hundreds of people that work for it. There is a crew of there are singers, there are models, there's a crew of directors, assistant directors. You talk about producers, editors, then there are cameramen, there are production people, there are spot boys. There are n number of people working for a video of just 4 minutes. So there is lesser discipline that can be maintained in that particular area, because there are hundreds of people working on one thing. In front of camera, everything is under discipline, everything is under deadlines. But behind the camera, there are a lot of things which are going on, which a director or a producer or the organizer doesn't even know that something is happening. And then if we talk about events industry, or particularly my writing it now, because I'm a writer. Day before yesterday also, I was there in a book launch event. I have that particular book over, and it was something very new that I saw. Colonel DS Chima is an author. He's a retired army personnel. He published two books in a single day, and so that was the first thing that I witnessed this for the first time in life. Two books being released at in a one event by that person. He's more than 75 years old, and he has written 17 books, and he's still writing. And he's still running from. He still wakes up early and he works till late night. These are the people from whom I get motivation. So this particular industry, if I talk about the writing community, it is totally different than the entertainment industry or the community that we talk about, the artists or others, because this is one man show. If I'm a writer, I'm writing my book. I can't really ask every day to other people what should be done, or I cannot engage tens or hundreds of people to help me with completing my book. So this thing is totally different than the entertainment industry. But since childhood, discipline has been, it has been inculcated to me. It is imbibed within me very deep. I am a very disciplined guy since childhood. So whether I was in entertainment industry or I used to organize events or now I am a writer, I have always been in discipline, and I am blessed enough that people around me were the same. So I haven't really worked with anyone whom I would not like to work again with. So that's the kind of people I am blessed with. I am always very positive about it, and I am blessed with positive people and very disciplined and hardworking people around.
Sir, I'm literally amazed listening that he published two books in a single day. Well, it's quite motivating.
Yeah.
Last but not the least, any message you want to give to today's youth?
Well, I want to give a message to today's youth to remain more disciplined. And I'll give an example. When I was a student in school, and it might sound that I am really old. I am not that old, but the time has shifted really very fast. When I was in school, we were always afraid of our teachers. It was out of respect. Our teachers never slapped us. They never. I didn't really see anyone being beaten by my teachers in the school. But at the same time, there was always, we were always afraid. There was always this respect inside us that whenever a teacher came up, we were quiet. If teachers scolded us, we took it. We took it without uttering a single word. Nowadays, I don't really see students taking up the scoldings of teachers. We often see it around us. I have worked as a part-time arts trainer as well. I go to a lot of colleges, schools for lectures as well, for otherwise meeting my friends and other people as well. So the students these days should be, they should ask their teachers for all sorts of guidance. They should be more sincere. They should be more down to earth. They should take up scoldings of teachers. If a teacher slaps a child out of a particular reason, a child should not bring his parents the next day, and the parents should not start fighting with the teachers that why did you slap our son. If I would come up to my family that my teacher scolded me, my family will scold me again that I would have done something wrong. Or they will go to the school the next day and they would thank my teacher that at least my teachers have that, attention, personal attention on me. That they are keeping a check on me. They are keeping an eye on me. That whenever I'm on the wrong foot, they would scold me. They would try to correct me. So not every teacher would do it. So there has to be more patience in today's youngsters. There has to be more learning. We have to learn more. We have to work really hard for our lives. The competition has increased by leaps and bounds. There is a lot of competition out there in the market. During our tenure in schools and colleges, we don't really realize it. But the moment we step into the real world outside, we realize how tough the world is, how tough the life is. And another very important message that I want to give is I'm really very deeply shocked by the recent incident that has happened in Punjab by the killing of our singer Sidhu Moosewala. So I will again request everyone. There are always ways of handling things. When we work in the industry, you are there studying commerce. You must come from home. There are a lot of people who travel by bus. There are a lot of people who travel by their own conveyance. We often see that there are instances where we could have been engaged in fights. If a car hits my car, there are ways to handle it. There is a way that we can get out. We can just request that, okay, what has happened is happened. You take care of your thing, I'll take care of my thing. That is one thing. The other thing is we get out with our stick or our
आवाज़ नहीं आ रही, हैंग हो गया।
आवाज़ नहीं आ रही।
उनकी हैंग हो गई।
नहीं बंद नहीं हुई। दोबारा कर। बंद करके ऊपर नहीं आया।
uh, can you hear me?
Yes sir, now. Yes sir, now it's audible.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think there was some network issue. So my message to everyone who is listening to me right now is that we all should have more patience. We all should find out ways to deal with things with humility, with the help of words only. And such shocking incidents should not be repeated in the whole world, of course, but specifically in our own surroundings. I'm deeply shocked. I was not a fan of him, and there are a lot of people who were not a fan of him, but still they are shocked. They are shocked with because of it.
Indeed.
So yes,
Well, sir, I want to add on that you can have discipline without liberty, but you cannot have liberty without discipline. Thank you so much, sir, for sparing your precious time to enlighten us. Truly, it was inspiring, motivating, and enlightening talk with us. Thank you once again on behalf of whole RR Baba family. With this, I take my leave. Thank you.
thank you so much. Thank you.